Welcome guys to my latest Warhammer 40k Second Ed Battle Report, 1500 points, featuring the sneaky Eldar versus the indomitable Ork Speed Freaks, Evil Sunz clan. Today, the Eldar list is going to have Farseer with a Blade of Destruction, Rune Armor, Shuriken Pistol and Blind Grenades, Warp Spider Exarch with Warp Jump Generator, 2 Death Spinners, Fast Shot, Turn Aside Blow, Blind Grenades, Fire Dragons, Warp Spiders, Scouts and Swooping Hawks with a squad of Guardians on jet bikes. 1 Viper and 1 Falcon Grav Tank backing it up in support, all for 1498 points total. The Orks, led by no other than Wazdaka Gutsmech on his war bike, along with Evil Sunz, Nob Squad, Gretchen Squad, War Buggies, War Bikes, and Shock Attack Gun with Mechaniac. Gretchen, Front Herder, Tractor Cannon, Battle Wagon, Spleen Ripper, and Gob Smasher, also for 1498 points. Let's have a look at these armies then. By the way, this was a illustration I did, which was published in the Citadel Journal way back in the 90s. And here we have the Eldar Biel-Tan army. This is an old army I did many years ago, back in the 90s as well, led by Illyrian the Farseer, with this scout squad, Fire Dragons and Exarch, with his own personalised back banner. A squad of Guardians on jet bikes with 1 Shuriken cannon upgrade, all with their own individual squad markings on the canopies. A squad of Swooping Hawks, the Farseer himself, with a Witchblade, Blind Grenades, Shuriken Pistol. The Warp Spider Exarch, 2 Death Spinners and Warp Jump Generator. The Warp Spiders themselves, Falcon Grav Tank with a few upgrades, and the Viper with the Scatter Laser and Shuriken Cannon. All in all, a fairly well-rounded force, very fast, as you'd expect an Eldar army to be, but able to pack a bit of a punch, particularly against the low-armoured, low-initiative Ork army. The Evil Sunz, on the other hand, this is another illustration I did back around the same time I did the Warp Spider one. The Ork army, again, led by Wazdaka Gutsmech, one of the best characters, and crazy that they never released a model for it. I actually converted that model myself with about 27 different kits, and love it. Favourite model in the Ork army. Got a squad of Evil Sunz boys, Gretchen. I used these giant squigs, which I converted as snotling bases because I think they look better and more menacing. Nob's Mob, again, two characters there that I sculpted for Wereweevil miniatures, along with the rest of the old Rogue Trader Nobs. Tractor Cannon with Grot Crew, Shock Attack Gun, Mech Boy. 3 different war buggies with 2 heavy plasmas, 1 multi-melter, the Battle Wagon, and squad of Evil Sunz on war bikes, plus the Nob on war bike, and a Runt Herder in the Grot squad, plus backline being the Spleen Ripper, an old armor cast vehicle, Gob Smasher from White Dwarf, and the Battle Wagon. These vehicles were added as non-official vehicles, but it's a friendly game, so yeah, it's all good. So, game time. Let's get it on. The missions. The Eldar mission, taken hold. Set up 24 in, 36 across, essentially the center of the table. Strategy cards. We have booby traps. Brilliant strategy. Psychic powers. We have Battle Fate, Fortune, Guide, and Destructor. All useful, none overpowered. We'll see how they work out with the coming game. The Orc mission. Ironically, taken hold. This means they'll be both battling over the same point in the on the battlefield, which should make things interesting. Their strategy cards: Last Gasp and Delayed, which should come in handy. Battlefield, as you can see, the Orc Evil Sunz stronghold dead smack bang in the middle of the battlefield, which is the actual taken hold objective for both sides. So it should be a difficult one, fighting to the death to grab that objective by the end of the game. The Orcs win deployment, choose their side of the battlefield, and as you can see, they've spread their forces out fairly widely, covering pretty much the whole table, with Wazdacker and the other two battle cannon support in the back line, waiting to pounce and when an opportunity presents itself. The tractor cannon on the building, with a much better view of fire. War buggies skulking in the back, ready to pounce. The Knobs mob hiding in the bushes, woods I should say. Eldar deployment, very, very sneaky. Much hiding. Both the Warp Spider Exarch and the Farseer, both hidden behind a clump of bushes, as well as the Fire Dragons with their Exarch leading the squad, and the Warp Spiders hiding in the middle forest, Swooping Hawks behind them, hidden, and the Jet Bike squad behind the hills, also unable to be seen but not hiding. So this is going to present the Orc army a very difficult proposition to shoot anything in the first term. Let's see what happens next. The Orcs play Delayed on the Falcon wisely. Turn 1. The Orcs survey what their best move is, as they will be going first. Ready to rumble.
Don't got to fear, number one in command. I came just to kill me and too militant. They won't figure eights, but I don't need a man. So they love how me whine and make true religion. You dealing with the body, of course, or you dealing with the boss. If we break up, yeah, you know that it's a loss. Upgraded every two that
The Farseer definitely left his seer stones at home, rolling a 1. Orcs 3. So, the Orcs will be going first. The Orcs advance fully towards the center of the table, trying to jockey for position and get a best possibility of shooting with their heavy weapons, of which they have multitudes of. But despite their mobility and covering of the entire battlefield, there's still not a lot of targets that are in view. So after they've all moved forward into position, it's time to start shooting. Nob's mob running towards the centre building with the taken hold objective, unable to shoot as they've run. The Grots also running to keep pace with the Nobs, lest the Nobs give them a clip over the ear. On the flank, the Spleen Ripper has moved forward, but with nothing to shoot at this point, waiting for those Guardians. The Warbikers lurch forwards, again nothing to shoot at, as the Orks Nobs had ran towards the building. They were within initiative range of the Scout Squad, realising in hindsight that they probably should have actually stopped because they were within 8 inches and they ran. Gobsmasher shoots at the detected Scout Squad with his battle cannon. Misses. Scatters over to the far side of the building. Nothing. The Warbikes also firing at the detected scouts. Hitting. Miraculously. Oh, as they say, oh my god! These scout pansies, lucky some bitches. No wounds. So the heavy plasma fires. There it is. Scatters. Oops. 1 direct hit and 2 partials on the scattering plasma cannon. On the Nob's mob. Not exactly where he wanted it to go. Directly hitting one. All wounding. And all dead. That wasn't what they wanted. The Orks take a leadership test. One more plasma cannon shoots from the war buggy. And a lone scout dies. The Mechaniac with his shock attack gun surveys the field and can't see anything. So they decide, we's gonna go wait on Overwatch or something. Yeah, nothing else to shoot at. Yeah. The war buggy fires its auto launchers, using its blind grenades to screen it for the fire dragons lurking in the forest. Psychic phase comes with a reasonable level of warp power. Battle Fate is cast by the Farseer on the fire dragons. The Orcs say, no, we're not having any of that. Try to nullify. Fail. Oh, try again. No. Fail again. The Farseer casts Guide on one of the fire dragons. war wagon, and hits but fails to penetrate. In the movement phase, the 5 dragons advance for the Eldar's first turn. The Falcon's that was delayed moves on from the table edge, moving from slow speed as it's allowed to move on at, and goes up to combat speed, a full 20 inches onto the battlefield, showing that the delay didn't really delay it that much. The jet bikes advance forward at combat speed. The swooping hawks take to the air, flying high. Not flying high, just flying high into the sky. Taking things before they start the battle. You know. The Viper positions itself, gliding along in support behind the Warp Spiders. Whereas the Warp Spider Exarch leaps 18 inches forward, dead straight towards the Knob Squad and into cover. Sneaky. Here's a glamour shot from him. He's taken many of them because he's Eldar, and that's just what they do. The Mechaniac roars, "Nah, that's about enough of that scurrying forwards, you weedy pointy ears." By which he actually means the fire dragons that he can see coming into his field of vision. So he takes a shot on Overwatch, pumping 2 bases of giant squigs, aka snotlings, frenzied into the gun right on top of the exposed fire dragons. No, that's not where they landed. Guess where they do land? Yep. Dead smack on the battle wagon. Shock attack gun rolls on the vehicle table, and that's the end result. Despite the fact that he needed 6s to kill the boys because they were Orks. He indeed realised that he had stuffed up. The Warp Spiders emerge in a blink from the forest, a great surprise to the Greenskins arrayed before them, where they proceeded to clinically shred them, overlapping clouds of monofilament wires. Oh dear. Many hits were made. Many grots died this fine day. Including some of the war buggy crew. So, turned these and 2 of the war buggy entire crew to green mush. The fire dragons target the battle wagon, aided by the Battle Fate's psychic power. Destroying its wheels and causing it to go out of control, and then come to a permanent halt for the rest of the battle. The Falcon Grav Tank targets everything it has at the Warbiker mob. Pulse laser, scatter laser, shuriken cannon. Everything but the kitchen sink. Five shuriken cannon hits and 5 scatter laser hits. Deploying blind grenades from its auto launchers. Having killed 4 of the riders who all go out of control before one explodes next turn. A devastating volley. The Viper targets the front war buggy, destroying all of its crew. And the jet bikers mop up the knobs, forcing a brake test. Which they fail, remaining broken in cover. The Warp Spider Exarch adds insult to injury and shoots the remaining knobs, destroying them, or at least 2 of them, in a monofilament cloud. Before throwing a blind grenade and jumping into cover in the building. Sneaky Eldar. With his second jump, he needed to roll, and he rolled a 3, so as to avoid being sucked into the warp. Psychic phase. 8 psychic powers, or cards I should say. 4 each. The Orks have demonic attack up their sleeve. The Farseer casts Fortune, and as expected, is attacked by a demon. Who he manages to fight off, and then casts Guide on the Falcon, specifically the pulse laser. Look at that long pulse laser. Into the battle wagon. Hitting it and penetrating the already destroyed wheels location, doing no further damage. Casualties mount. A huge swath of Orks fallen by the wayside. Turn 2. The two crewless war buggies move out of control, with one of them smashing into a wall. The four riderless warbikes go out of control, with one exploding at the end of its move, before they even fired a shot in anger. They died with gravel rash on their bottom lips, pouting, being unable to fire their massive dagger. Bye-bye. The grots continue to run away, very slowly, having broken in the previous turn. Whilst the Knobs mob remain cowering, broken, but in cover. Gaz and the remaining Knob warbike attempt to flank the Falcon. And the Gob Smasher rolls into position. Whilst the Spleen Ripper repositions also. The remaining boys bail out of Battle Wagon, ready to put some hurt on the Farseer. The Farseer decides to use his Booby Traps card on the disembarked boys squad, covering all of them, including one of the warbikes. Wounding two, who fail their save. Three dead and a failed break test, leaving the remaining two broken and in cover. Wazdaka unleashes everything he's got at the Falcon. Scattering, still hitting, a penetrating hit, removing the ablative armor. 3 autocannon hits from his twin-linked autocannon, with 3 on the hull. All failed to penetrate. Oh, you loser autocannons! The mech boy has a look around, and as he can't see nothing, so he goes on Overwatch again. The Gobsmasher blasts off a shot, targeting the Warp Spiders behind the cover of the Orc building, needing 6s. Nope. Miss. Scattering way off to the rear of the building. The blast catches both partial hits on a Warp Spider and a Scout, as well as a direct hit on another Warp Spider for a total of 3 hits. All wounded. Realised that the Warp Spiders actually receive a saving throw after just taking them off. One of them saved, and so he was put back. Still need a break test though. Oh, look at that. Thumbs up. The Spleen Ripper lines up his shot at the same building, at the same target. The Warp Spiders. A dead hit. 2 Warp Spiders wounded, but 1 makes his armor save. The undamaged war buggy fires its heavy plasma at the Viper. Oops. And the tractor cannon crew also target the Viper. A strength 8 hit, dragging it towards the brick wall in front of it, causing an immediate penetrating hit on the Viper, rolling a 1 for damage. However, the Viper takes a collision damage hit from being dragged into the brick wall. These crazy Second Ed shenanigans. Bang. Scatters in a random direction, over the building. Catching the edge before exploding. Kaboom. 2 scouts taken out in the resulting explosion. But they're good. Well done, tractor cannon. Well done. The mech boy goes on Overwatch, and the psychic phase comes around. And the Orks, uncharacteristically, show some wisdom and end the psychic phase immediately. Casualties of the Orc turn 2 were huge. The remaining scout passes his break test and goes into hiding, fearful of further battle cannon damage. While the swooping hawks arrive from flying high, as in flying high in the sky. That joke again. Catching Wozdacker and his knob sidekick unawares. The Falcon accelerates to fast speed, preparing to snipe the rear of the Gobsmasher with its pulse laser. Something like this. That is, until the mech boy on Overwatch notices it zooming past. Hold on a minute! Sending no less than 3 bases of living ammo through his whirring shock attack gun. Straight at it. As it passes him midpoint through its flyover, because as we know, the shot can be taken at any point during the movement on an Overwatch shot. So he sees it go past and stops it mid-flight. That's where his shot is. Not a direct hit, but still close enough to have the centre of this 2-inch template hitting the hull, like so. The 3 results were a 4, 4 and a 5. Enough to kill the crew and other shenanigans later. Meanwhile, the unstoppable Warp Spider Exarch makes his move to land, dun dun dun, behind Wozdacker and his knob. The remaining Warp Spiders retreat to the relatively safe behind of the building. And the jet bikers go flat out 30 inches to land behind the Gobsmasher in a blur of green. The Hawks throw crack grenades at Wozdacker, being the closest target. Needing 5s to hit, with a -1 for speed and a -1 for crack. A single hit, but Wozdacker's custom field reduces the strength, and then, for a brief moment, time appeared to stop. As Wozdacker appeared to disappear in a monofilament cloud, before reappearing in a shredded version of himself, sitting atop his pristine bike. But wait. Last gasp! In his dying breath, Wozdacker presses the trigger on his battle cannon. One last time. Cop this. A hit. A wound. But the Farseer's rune armor saves him. Followed microseconds later by his knob. Unstoppable! Not content with just that, he takes a second jump to better position himself behind cover, risking it all again. Phew. The Fire Dragons had moved to also target Wozdacker, but found the remaining Flamer Orc a suitable target instead, dispatching it with ease. Psychic phase again. The Farseer casts Battle Fate on the jet bikes. But the Orcs say, nah, we're having none of that. so they think. They still say, no, we're still having none of that. Or so they think. Then they say, no, still having none of that. And nullify attempt 3 in a row. Oh my god! Failed 3 times in a row. So battle fate takes effect. He then casts Destructor towards the remaining Orc boy in cover. Dispatching it. And then casts Fortune on the Fire Dragons. The Eldar turn 2 kills. Hefty indeed. Turn 3. There's been quite the carnage so far. Look at those casualties piled up on the side of the table. And it's only the start of turn 3. What can the Orcs do now to come back? We'll roll for the obligatory grenade rolls, and the remaining grots run off the battlefield entirely, whilst the knob mob remain in cover, broken. The lead war buggy moves out of control 8 inches straight ahead, smashing into the bushes, leaving a lone war buggy behind. The Gob Smasher does a donut and prepares to blast the jet bikers. Its path free, the remaining war buggy cruises towards the rock wall to spy what's beyond it, unable to see anything through the blind grenades, or even the warp spiders hidden behind the building. The Spleen Ripper positions itself, and the mech boy spies new targets close by, turning to face the Guardians. The tractor cannon also reorientates itself, turning towards the direction of the jet bikes in its deployment zone. And the Runt Herder turns to face the Exarch menace. Shooting phase. First things first, Orc Gob Smasher lines up the jet bikes with a crack of the battle cannon, scattering. Missing on the partial to hit roll, rolling a 2. The Runt Herder shoots his bolt pistol at the Exarch. Hitting, wounding, failed armor save at -1, causing a wound. The mech boy pumps 2 bases into the shock attack gun. and it scatters wildly, missing everything. Psychic phase again. The Orks with ultimate force unable to use anything. What a waste. With nothing either side can do, the psychic phase ends quickly. Eldar turn 3. 2 blind grenades are removed, wafting away into nothingness, opening the lines of sight on the battlefield. The crewless falcon moves out of control. Straight ahead. 9 inches. Straight into an unfortunate Guardian jet bike. Smash. Boom. Causing it to go out of control and explode at the end of its next turn. Warp Spider Exarch moves into position. The jet bike moves straight ahead 16 inches and off the board. Zoom. The swooping hawks fly high off the battlefield again. And the 2 warp spiders fire at the last war buggy skulking behind the wall. Hitting both crew and shredding. Bye-bye buggy. Again, the Exarch annihilates all before him. But miraculously, misses the Mechaniac. And so, using fast shot, he has another go. Not so lucky this time. For he is legend. The warp spiders take a second leap, back toward the building and into the cover of safety. Or rather, the safety of cover. All safe with their second jump. The Farseer throws a blind grenade to obscure the fire dragons and keep them safe from potential battle cannon shot to end the shooting phase. Psychic phase again. And again the Orks have energy drain. as the Farseer futilely attempts to use a power. The Orks wisely energy drain, ending the psychic phase and taking all of the powers on the table off the board. Including the Destructor template. Last turn. It comes down to this. The casualties for the Eldar turn, again, significant. Gobsmasher moves into position for one final shot. Ooh, lordy, he gonna get hit. As does the Spleen Ripper. What's he going to find? Ah, yes. He can scatter and hit something. Forgot to roll for the blind grenades. This one actually moved. Slightly. But enough to expose a solitary fire dragon. Vengeance! Or should I say, vengeance! Lads! Bullseye! Direct hit. To wound. Oh my god! No! The Spleen Ripper tries a cunning plan and sneakily targets the ground, in the general vicinity of the fire dragons, obscured by blind. Missing, of course. Oh my god! Misfire. Exploding directly on the weapon itself, as well as causing a hit on the wheels and a hit on the hull. First hit with the destroyed weapon, absorbed by the ablative. The wheel, not penetrated. The hull, penetrated. Thankfully, causing no major damage. Last psychic phase for the Orks. And again, the Eldar, with nothing to do, end the psychic phase. So on to the Eldar turn. The Hawks land behind the remaining knobs, ready to strike. While the jet bikes slow down and do a U-turn to reinforce the Hawks' position. I suspect they won't need it. The Warp Spider Exarch And the bane of the Orks this day also readies for the kill. Leaping to the top of the building, the remaining spiders secure the objective. And the carnage commences anew. Unsurprisingly, the knobs are shredded. The final casualties for the Orks. Game over. Well, that's it, guys. What's happened? As the Farseer surveyed the carnage before him, he murmured a song of mourning for the loss of his people. Thankfully, their losses were small, and the Orc savages' losses were severe. The battle was won, but the war was not yet over. Eldar, 20 victory points. Orcs, 5 victory points. Eldar victory. And there you have it. Such carnage. The Orc losses were indeed severe. Man of the match, the Warp Spider Exarch, who took out or finished off more than a third of the entire Orc army. Dishonourable mention for the Eldar, the Scouts, who did absolutely nothing useful. The Orc Man of the match, Orc of the match, for taking out the Falcon while on Overwatch, even though he did obliterate half of his own squad, the shock attack gun. With a dishonourable mention for the Warbikers, who died before they could do anything at all. And there you have it, guys. There's the game, over and done with. Let's have a recap. There you have it, guys, the wrap up of the game. Overall, a surprisingly lopsided result, with a huge win, crushing win, to the Eldar, who have always had a reputation of being tough to beat. And trust me, I know they were my favourite army for a very, very, very long time, as I mentioned before. I got to know them very well with their strengths and weaknesses and how to play them best based on those strengths and weaknesses. That said, I thought that at the start of the game there was every chance that the Orc army would actually do really well against them. They had massive firepower superiority, the advantage of numbers, and equal to or even better in their mobility for what they had in their army list. So I think it was certainly a game which would have been different had not there been Warp Spiders involved in the Eldar army list, who just shredded, absolutely shredded all of the boys and the characters and some of the light vehicles. So I think that was the big difference between the two armies. And I think if we had a rematch of that game without Warp Spiders, using another aspect, for example, maybe Banshees or Striking Scorpions or something hand-to-hand related or whatnot, I think it would have been a much different result and could even be lopsided to the Orcs' favour. Because certainly those Death Spinner weapons against Orcs are absolutely lethal. Hilarious game at various points. They had certain points where the Orcs caused more damage to themselves than they did the enemy, but that's par for the course when playing Orcs. You've got to expect you're going to take some casualties along the way that you caused, and they certainly did that in this game. But also some highlights with the shock attack gun, hilarious as always when playing any army. The carnage that they can cause with one figure is amazing, and they certainly sort of caused that in this game as well. Still unbelievable how many casualties were caused throughout that match. The Orcs were almost entirely annihilated, with only having some of their vehicles left, and they were the ones that were the higher armor ones, which didn't have exposed crew, whereas all the war bikes, the Knobs war bike, the war buggies, all gone. And again, most of that due to the monofilament clouds from the Death Spinners. The mobility of the Warp Spiders, and in particular the Exarch, unparalleled. I have to say they are my favourite aspect warrior of all time, simply because they can go wherever they want, whenever they want. Yes, there is some chance that they could die in the process if they're stretching off a little bit more than they should, because obviously if they move more than 18 inches, they've got to roll for a second jump to see whether they get sucked into the warp. Thankfully in this game that didn't happen, and the further they try and jump in that second leap, the more their chance of dying occurs. So that didn't happen. One of the interesting things about the game, which I felt would have been different, was the psychic phase superiority of the Eldar. Given that they had a 4th level Psyker and the Orks had no Psyker, I believed that they would really dominate that phase, but they didn't, possibly due to the fact that in 2 of the phases the Orks ended up having energy drain, which just stopped the whole psychic phase in its tracks and really limited the potency of the Eldar psychic advantage. All in all, look, I think tactically from both armies there weren't really too many mistakes, and for a solo game, look, it is hard to look at that retrospectively, but it was definitely a game where they progressed the way they should tactically, and it essentially came down to the roll of the dice. I have played both the Orks and the Eldar for a long time, and am fairly accustomed to playing those armies and what they should do and what they shouldn't do. For example, the Eldar, always, without fail, if they can get second turn rather than first turn, they should always do that, because 9 times out of 10, if they have a mission which relates to speed or mobility, where they have to get somewhere at the end of the game, for example, into the enemy deployment zone, or take and hold where they have to be at a particular place at the last turn of the game, they're very good at that. For example, your swooping hawks are perfect for doing that, because they can fly high, avoiding any damage while they're up high, and then come down last turn and land exactly where they want to without fear of retaliation, unless the opponent is on Overwatch nearby or something like that, which at the end of the game doesn't tend to happen very much. But so long as the Eldar can withstand the first turn or two of shooting, they are very, very tough to beat. It's only when they're exposed by being on a battlefield with limited amounts of terrain, with nowhere to hide, no cover, and they're just open to being shot up without any protection whatsoever, they'll die in droves. That's why I've always made sure that when placing terrain in 40k Second Ed, you always have a little bit more than you need, and then adjust accordingly afterwards, because there's nothing worse than playing on a barren landscape where it comes down to who's got the best armor and the most amount of guns. So it's certainly more tactically useful, it looks better, it makes all units more survivable because it's harder to hit when something's in cover, and so the game lasts a bit longer. When you play on a battlefield where there's nothing to hide behind or no cover to be gained, things die extremely quickly, unless they are all Terminators or something ridiculous with high armor saves. So Eldar are definitely not one of those armies, and Orks aren't either. I mean, that they generally have worse armor saves than what the Eldar do, but there's 2 to 3 times as many of them. So yeah, good game. Definitely have to do a rematch at some point, which I would like to do same army list with the Evil Sunz, but have the Warp Spiders swapped entirely out of the Eldar army list to see what difference that had to the outcome of a game like that, because I think otherwise they're fairly evenly matched. The Orc army on its face is incredibly powerful, incredibly fast, and lots of bodies on the field. Huge amount of heavy weapons. You know, there were 3 battle cannons, 5 twin-linked heavy bolters, 2 heavy plasma guns, multi-melter, and the heavy weapons from the Knobs and Evil Sunz Boys squad. So in total, a lot of firepower. and the shock attack gun. So, and the tractor cannon. So all of these weapons, unfortunately, if they don't have targets to shoot at, or the targets are incredibly hard to hit, it's going to be an uphill battle for them to actually do anything, and that definitely showed in this game. And certainly the Eldar picked their targets wisely, and I think they chose their deployment wisely, and it showed in the long result of the game, which ended up being an absolute thrashing. Yeah, definitely like to do that again. The Warp Spider Exarch, in hindsight, just annihilated the army, taking out over a third of the points value of the Orc army single-handedly. He either killed everything or finished everything off in that regard. Everywhere he landed, he was almost guaranteed of just wiping the floor with what he hit. The old fast shot, which everyone hates, unfortunately, it's one of those things I think that it's mandatory with the Eldar if you want to make sure that you have the advantage. But that said, look, he wasn't tooled up with a displacer field or anything nasty like that. It was I think he just had a conversion field, so a 50-50 chance of saving if he did get hit. As it was, if you look at what happened to him in the game, a lowly runt herder took a wound off him with a lowly bolt pistol, and luckily they had 2 wounds, but that's the sort of thing that just goes to show that despite how powerful they are, they're quite easily taken out with a little bit of massed firepower on them anyway. But yeah, definitely the difference between the two sides in this battle was the fact that Eldar had the Warp Spiders and the Exarch, and the Orks had no counter against that. So yeah, again, great fun game. Loved having a go at those 2 armies, which are my 2 favourite armies. I'm going to definitely have to do a rematch, tweaking those lists a little bit more to see whether the outcome is actually much different or not. Hope you enjoyed watching it, and if you watched my first one, my first battle report previous to this, hopefully you've noticed an improvement in the overall quality, editing, sound, etc., etc. I'm still very much a novice at this, and hope to improve my skills with each one that I do moving forward, and really look forward to showcasing some of the rest of my armies in these battle reports in the future. So again, as always, the old like, subscribe, share, thumbs up. Really hope you enjoy it, and love to hear what you've got to say about the report. I'm always going to answer the comments, yeah, look forward to see what you've got to say. Thanks again, and one more note. There were a couple of figures in my Orc army which were out of my range from Wereweevil miniatures, and they were the two chunkier Orcs with the heavy armor, and they're available through me, through my Facebook page, Wereweevil Miniatures Inc. If you're interested in getting your hands on some of those, they are always available, and at a very, very reasonable rate, certainly in comparison to some of the corporate companies out there that supply 40k miniatures. Yeah, help a little guy. If you need some miniatures, order my miniatures, hit me up with any comments and feedback, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.